In this video I'm going to tell you a little bit about some interesting experiments we did in one of my circles once. I'm going to show you how to hypnotize someone, and in particular how to hypnotize somebody so that they can exhibit clairvoyance. Now, in my circles we've done a number of experiments with consciousness generally, both with the ideas of communicating with the spirit world and also to see how we can employ certain psychological powers to aid our clairvoyant development. Now, first I would say that hypnotism is a misused thing. It's not good to use hypnotize people, obviously, to make them jump around like chickens or to do crazy things. This is the stuff of the TV hypnotist, and I believe can do irrevocable damage to people, as well as humiliating them and so forth. Now, what we're actually touching with hypnotism is a very powerful force. The originator, the inventor, I suppose, or the discoverer of hypnotism was a man called Mesmer, and he believed that there was a fluence, a sort of a fluent force that came into play during hypnotism, a sort of pranic energy. And although that's all been discounted nowadays, he may have actually been onto something. There may be forces involved here that are highly powerful spiritual forces that the scientific community obviously tend to reject. Now, so if you're going to use this technique, I would suggest this is used by people, by spiritualists maybe, by people, psychics that are sitting in a circle and wanting to experiment seriously with the work they're doing, and not to be using it for stupid reasons at school and so forth. So let me describe first of all how you hypnotize somebody, because there are a number of techniques out there. The first thing you've got to do is get the person's trust. And that would only come really if they knew you well, I think, in the way I'm going to describe this. So in a circle setting, in a spiritualist circle, for example, hypnotism can be used because they may trust the medium, that the medium's not going to do anything stupid, and that around them are other people who will be supportive and not get the person into a silly state of mind. So when you're hypnotizing someone, the first thing you have to ask them is, are you prepared to be hypnotized? Now, by them saying yes, they have already begun to put their trust in you. That is part one of the hypnotic process. Now, hypnotizing someone is quite easy. There's a lot of word phrases you can use. You're adding suggestion in the way you speak. First of all, when I've hypnotized people, I speaking to them and say, your eyelids feel heavy and you feel sleepy. I mean, it's as simple as that. And you will say that you may want to blink occasionally. Now, when a person blinks, we have an involuntary process of blinking. We all do blink every few seconds, actually, but we don't notice it. But when you've made that suggestion to somebody during a hypnotic session, the very act that they're blinking is giving them, they are subduing themselves to acceptance that you are the one that's taking control of the situation. So basically, by using the right words, by talking a person under through words like, you're beginning to feel sleepy, you're beginning to go under, you're beginning to feel relaxed, and then looking into their eyes as you're doing this. Now, a certain point will come when you'll notice in their eyes a sort of a gaziness, and that's the point you might want to say, now sleep. And because they have got into a responsive state. I use other techniques sometimes to help bring a person under in hypnosis too, such as, for example, I may talk backwards through the numbers. You're beginning to feel more relaxed as I speak through 10, 9, 8, 7. So you're talking them down into the state of hypnosis. Or you could do the same thing, like talk to the person and say, now I want you to follow with me. We're going to descend some stairs. You're on the top step. You're going to step down, step 1, you're going first step 9, we're on step 9, you feel more relaxed, you're on now step 8, and so forth, and talk them down the steps until we get to the last step, in which we say, and now you're finally going to step down to the final step, and now you're in deep trance, right? So 15% of people are highly susceptible to hypnotism, and others are less most people can be hypnotized. The more resistance there is in a person, the more difficult it is to hypnotize someone. But I've described some of the very simple things about how you hypnotize someone. You basically, the way you use your language, you kind of give an authority to it. You allow the person to basically trust you completely, and you have been put in a very powerful position over that person, so your trust is absolutely essential. You must never misuse this thing. So in my own experiments that we've done, we have done a number of things with hypnotism that are very interesting to do, because once a person gets into that sort of hypnotized state, we can then ask them things such as who they were in a previous life. Now, the way that works is that you want to take the person on an imaginary journey, and you take them back through their life. So I want you to go back to when you were 20 years old, for example, depending on how old the person is, of course, and describe to me what happened when you on your 21st birthday. So they might remember that. So we can take birthdays as the reference point and then take the person back through birthdays. So when we start getting back to, say, 5 years old, you might be able to remember your 5th birthday party because it was very important to you at that time, or Christmas of that time, you see. So you can use those pointers to take a person back through their real life, and vivid memories will be remembered more so than in our normal waking state of that period, and take them right back till now we're coming back to the age of 1, and now we want to go back to the age when you were in the womb. Okay, so we take them back through their birthdays, back to the state in the womb, and now I want to take you to the state before you were in the womb. And that's when we start to get some interesting stuff happening. This is what we call this is what we call regression, hypnotic regression, when we take a person back to what our previous lives and previous existences. Now, of course, we have to be careful not to allow too much fantasies to come in, because obviously people will have preconceptions, and they might all have been Mary Queen of Scots, or they might have all been beheaded in the French Revolution by the guillotines and so forth. You get a lot of common misconceptions come through, but occasionally something very strange will come through, and one of the most interesting ones I saw was a girl speaking in ancient French. We had French speakers with us that could understand it, but further research found she was speaking in old French, so that's interesting. The other thing that can be interesting to use for within a spiritualist type circle, for example, a psychic development circle, things that I've done in my groups, and I will demonstrate these things later on when I'm setting a new group up, and we can demonstrate this and you can see this in action, was to take people back and into a state of hypnotism, and then tell them that they are clairvoyant, right? And say that you have clairvoyant powers and you can access this information. So we did things such as, we had in advance planted something in another room somewhere. A teddy bear, for example, we put in another room that they hadn't seen, and told them, we want you to go in the other room and tell us what's on the table, right? And we got some really interesting results. We got people telling us things that they couldn't know through their normal senses. And I think this is something that could be experimented with a lot more for those that do psychical research. In that state of hypnotism, we are able to open up those unconscious powers, and sometimes get very interesting information. You tell someone that they're telepathic, and then you start doing telepathy experiments such as the Zener cards. So in a hypnotic state, there's some interesting things to be learnt. So I'm basically telling you there some of the things that I've done in the past with some of the experiments. I mean, I started doing some of these things when I was a kid at school, and we were out camping, and I took my friend back to hypnotize him to when he was 5 years old, and we got into a bit of difficulty with it because he'd fallen at 5 years old and fell down a cliff and had hurt himself bad. So we were bringing back traumatic memories. So you've got to be very careful, and really, to be a hypnotist, really you have to be properly trained. However, in a circle situation, I think when you've got a genuine group of people that are experimenting with consciousness, experimenting with mediumship and so forth, and you know that you can all trust each other and you've become familiar with each other, then we can use these techniques sometimes as a way to enhance our spiritual development, to do some interesting experiments with consciousness and to see where it takes us. I think if it's done with kindness and genuine attitude, that it's not being, that the person knows they're not going to be having, being deliberately opening up things that are not good for them, and stage hypnotism, once that craziness is all out the way and all the comedian stuff's out the way, and we look at it as a serious means, as a way to investigate our inner self, then we have something very interesting there. So I've told you a little bit about how to hypnotize someone. I perhaps should have extended that a little bit more, but I also wanted just to give you some idea of the techniques that are involved. Now I'm going to make some more videos of these later, and we'll be able to show you the technique in action. Well, I hope you found that interesting. Don't forget, I've got my book, Psychic School. I don't talk about hypnotism in there, but I talk about some of the techniques that we did use in our circles in the past, and you might find those useful for your own psychic development. Okay, thanks for listening. My book, Psychic School, will show you how to become a psychic or a medium. Over the years, I have demonstrated mediumship, confounded skeptics with the accuracy of my readings, and taught students how to unlock their latent psychic powers. For BBC television, my real-world Psychic School classes were filmed over a year and made into a major 3-part documentary. Now I show you how to recognise and harness your own psychic powers. In fact, these forces may already be at work in your own life through gut feelings, dreams and perceptions. All you need to do is understand how to recognise and channel your abilities. I will show you how to set up a circle that can take you from fledgling psychic to professional medium. Learn about clairvoyance, meditation, spirit guides, aura reading, inspirational speaking, psychic mediumship and other age-old techniques. Open up to the spirituality within you and learn the rewards that can follow. Psychic School is available from Amazon or my website at psychics.co.uk.